You know, Eli, something happens that as we get older, it's harder to stay in shape. Well, actually, staying in a shape is not a problem. It's staying in the right shape is the problem. But that's not the problem. When I'm at work, I'm good. I know how to eat at work. But the problem is like it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and Ruthie and I are just hanging out on the couch, watching Netflix, watching TV, watching American Idol, whatever. It's like, I think I'd like something to eat right now. You know, like I think I'd like a snack. I'd like something to munch on. And I've mentioned this before we hit record. Those chocolate covered almonds from Costco are delicious. Shout out to all the proud puppies out there. Welcome back to the podcast. On today's episode, me and Eli are going to talk about dad bods. We're going to talk about our diet, how to be healthy, how to stay healthy. So glad you joined us on this one. Check it out. All right. I know that we're far away from this.
Yeah.
But because it's going to come when James or any of your other kids want to go to college. Now, college has changed since we've been in high school.
It's true.
Right? True. Like back when we were in high school, it was kind of more of like, yeah, it's the next step. Since then, it's not the case anymore, right? Like there have been other like kind of lanes that kids out of high school can go that would be more suitable for what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. But what are your feelings about James going to college? Is it something that you'd be in support of or...
I think so. I think, Jana was always very driven in school. And so I think she's a big proponent of wanting to do that. I was not very driven. I don't think any of the siblings went to anything beyond a couple of semesters at JC.
2 semesters. Yep.
So, but at the same time too, I do regret it. I think if I really kind of gave it a real serious thought, I think I really could have, done something well and provided more opportunities for me. And really that's what I feel like college is really doing, is just providing you more opportunities. I would say where things differ, I think, is to be more responsible with college and with extracurricular schooling. If James really knows what he wants to do, or future child won't really know what they want to do, then I would, lead them to a school that like focuses on that program, right? Like, they can get into like an Ivy League school and that's great. They can get into Harvard, but like, unless he's going to be a lawyer, like say he wants to be like an English professor or something like that. Like I mean, it's prestigious in Harvard, but is that really going to get you somewhere far? And I think a big part of that was like, I worked at SoFi for like a year, and to see the student loan debt was wild. The biggest loan that like I ever worked on personally was over $500,000. The biggest one I had ever saw while I was there was like close to like $750,000, and the biggest one that we had ever heard there at SoFi, and this is just student loans, was $1.2 million.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine what that must be? Granted, again, yes, a high paying job. I think he was probably making like $450,000 a year. But even at that, huge amount of debt. B, can you imagine the type of credit card debt this guy must have?
Right.
He must have like probably another $50,000 to $100,000 of credit card debt, and just like, dude, the amount of, I think so. I think that for me was like, okay, if we are ever doing schooling, we're doing this responsibly. Like, if we're going to do like try and prevent loans as much as possible, get as many grants as we can as possible, raise as much funds as we can, try and work with the school to get it down. And then if we need to do a loan, it needs to be within terms and an amount that we can actually carry, because that stuff it's for the most part, especially if it's like private school loans, like it's really hard to discharge, and it just, So
I'm not sure if I would want my kids to go to college. I think it'd have to be the same. Like, what's their plan?
Yeah.
What do they want to do? For me, I don't know if I have a big regret of not finishing JC or not going through it more. For me, I think the bigger regret was not doing. So like my dream job or the job I wanted when I was younger was to be a barber.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's my biggest regret is I didn't go to school for that because I could have been in there, done it in a matter of months and been out making money.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for me, like when I think about the kids and college, like I think that'd be great. Like if they seem to have the drive and the vision for their life and like where they want to go, what they want to do. I mean, sure. Like I'd love to support it. If they don't, and it just kind of seems like they're just, they're going through school, got good grades, but don't really have like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which when you think about it, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, like, I mean, it's very rare for them to really like look at life like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, but if I felt like maybe college wasn't for them, I'd definitely like try to push them towards some kind of trade school, or, program that can get them where they want to go.
Yeah.
I
would say, just looking back, I wish I at least would have finished my associates, like the 2 years of schooling at a JC.
Yeah.
And I think for James, at the very least, that's probably, he's just like, I don't want to go to college. Cool. Then just do 2 years at the JC.
Yeah.
Once you're done, if you don't want to do anything more, then like, okay, that's your choice kind of thing. Like at that point, they would have already been like 19, 20.
Yeah.
And at that point, they have probably a little better idea as far as what they might like to do in the future. And then you can kind of readdress it and say, okay, if that's what you want to do, then this is the extra schooling that it would take or that kind of thing and other kind of passion. But yeah, I mean, looking back, I wish I just would have at least finished my associates just to say that I did it.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Just to say that I did it.
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't have.
Yeah.
I was ready to get it. I was ready to be done with school. Again, I was ready like, oh, I need to pay rent. Fine. Where should I work? You know, like I wasn't, the rent thing wasn't necessarily a big scare, not a scare thing, but it wasn't a, I didn't mind paying rent.
The big reason I didn't finish was because when I got and did my placement test, I did fine on English. They're like, cool, you're on track. You can just keep going. They're like, in math, they're like, you would need to take two or three semesters of math before you would actually start your AA like career. And I was like, I can't do that. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have. So,
well, speaking about wishing, dad tip. Here's the dad tip.
When you wish upon a star?
No. Don't wish time away. Sorry, don't wish away time.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, huh?
Don't wish away time. So, when they're older, it will be easier. That's a quote. I've caught myself saying this, and maybe it will be true. And either way, what a shame it is to wish away the precious time we have right now.
Yeah.
So don't wish away time. Now, Ruthie and I don't say that, like, oh, when they're older, it's going to be so much easier. What we do say is when they're older means more date nights because then we don't have to worry about a babysitter because they'll take care of themselves. That's a win.
Okay. All right.
But we're not saying, we're not wishing. But at the same time, like, it's easy to look ahead. You know, especially when you have young kids. Like, it's like, I can't wait until they're older so we can go out, so we can enjoy. Like, and that's a good thing. But yeah, like, when they're older, you're going to be like, man, remember when they were like little babies and remember when we were all together? Remember when they wanted to spend time with us and now they don't? Like, time goes fast, And so I kind of agree with this, kind of don't, because I'm also like, no, I can't wait till they're older so that we can go on more date nights.
Well, so like this last week, Jana was in Texas visiting some family. Her sister and her parents also went, which meant that all of my babysitters were gone for 6 days, which was pretty wild. I was like, okay, we can do this. Yeah. And while, yes, I agree, there was something so exhausting of just being the only parent and watcher of a 4-year-old. Yeah. In particular. And again, it's not as though he was, having like tantrums every time or anything like that. He was great. He really was a great kid. But at that age, they require so much attention. And when it's all on you, there is no break. There is no, I need to go take a nap. There's no, I need to work on this. Like, I didn't get any work done this weekend. I was like, this is going to be my primary focus. Had some fantastic days. We went to San Francisco. We went to Chinatown for the first time, had Chinese food there, walked half the Golden Gate Bridge, got to spend time with the family on Saturday and on Friday, and had plenty of dinners out with some friends and stuff like that, which is great. But they're back today, and I'm glad that they're back. Not that I want less time with my son. I don't. I don't want less time with my son. Yeah. But sometimes it'd be nice for like 15 minutes.
For sure.
I could just,
when Jana's home, who is that? They call them default parents.
Oh, interesting.
The parent that the kid goes to first for everything. In our household, it's Ruthie, for sure. Like with the boys and Dalia, like it's funny because I'll get home from work and I'm the one that's been gone all day. And Dalia will see me, spend some time with me. And then there's just, after me being home for like maybe 30 minutes and she's with me, like, maybe Ruthie's like eating or something and she wants to go to Ruthie. I'm like, no, like you're with me, your mom's eating. And she'll like start crying and freaking out. I'm like, you've been with her all day.
Yeah.
I just got home. But Ruthie is like that default.
I'd say it's 50-50 because we both do work from home. Yeah. And so it just kind of depends on who is most occupied. Right? Like, who's not here? Okay, like that's who I want here. So,
well, it's funny because in our house, regardless of what Ruthie's doing, she's being asked.
Yeah.
She's work because she works from home too, so she could be at her laptop like tapping away, and the kids are still like, "Mom." I'm like, guys, I'm right here. She's in the bathroom. They're on the door. Mom. Guys, I'm right here. And then who gets yelled at? Me. Because,
you can help. You can help.
Like, you're just sitting there. I'm like, they're not. I'm sorry. Like, kids, you need to ask me.
I'm going to scoop them up over here. Here.
Kids, come ask me. Come ask me.
That's so funny.
But, no, I feel you. Like, Ruthie went to Vegas. She went away for the weekend last year. And Dalia was just over a year. So that was kind of nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm by myself with 3 kids. This has not happened before. Yeah. And the little one, right? So, but it was actually pretty smooth. I mean, I feel like we do pretty good. Like I do pretty good with them alone. Not to say, though, that when Ruthie got home, I was like, oh, yeah.
I'll have to send you because I sent this reel over to Jana. I just send reels to everybody all the time.
It's true.
But there's one of like the mom is like, how do we want them to react when we're gone? And it's like, oh, I miss you. I don't know how you do this, all this kind of thing. And then when she comes back, oh yeah, it's pretty smooth. Yeah. I mean, kids were pretty great. Everything. Yeah. Didn't even notice you were really gone. She's just like, what?
You didn't notice I was gone?
So I think there is something to that. I mean, like, again, I only had one, so I can only imagine with 3. But I think there is a certain like equalizing that kind of goes on where it's like, okay, one parent's gone, and the kids tend to like, okay, they at least for the most part they understand like, okay, this is my default parent here. It's the person that I need to go to. So
So our default Ruthie is a default parent in our house. Sometimes she loves that. Sometimes she doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, babe. Hey. The kids love you. What can
Pros
I say?
And cons.
They love you. So let's talk a little bit about dad bods. And seeing that we both are experts in dad bods.
Yeah, that's true.
Eli, something happens that as we get older, it's harder to stay in shape. Well, actually, staying in a shape is not a problem. It's staying in the right shape is the problem. It's easy to become a shape. It's just hard to stay in good shape. But I think, especially when it comes to being papis, like, in fatherhood, like it's so important to try and take care of your health.
Yeah.
And that may look like going to gym 3-4 times a week. It may look like drinking more water. It may look like eating less McDonald's, and maybe it means going out for a walk every day. But I kind of wanted to ask you some questions. Not that we're not health experts. We're not gym.
Look at us.
We're not gym rats.
I know. I know this table is hiding a lot.
We're not gym rats. You know, like I go to the gym like 3 times a week.
I go to the gym 4 days a week. So I would consider ourselves mice, gym mice.
Yeah. Yeah, gym mice. But I do try to like keep myself. I do try to be conscious of what I'm eating, conscious of what I'm doing. You know, so I kind of want to go through a couple questions, hopefully give some guys some tips, start a good conversation just about dad bods, like, you know, how to maintain, don't go too crazy overboard. Because a lot of what we intake with food, like affects us mentally, affects us emotionally, affects how much we're active in the household. Like, and one of my things is like, I don't want to be a couch potato that, you know, but I'm also like, at the same time, I'm like, man, my knee hurts more than it did yesterday, and my shoulder is hard to get, you know, like, so I know that my body's getting older. So I was trying to do everything I can to slow that down, you know, to kind of give some longevity to me being a good, healthy dad. So what are some things that you do to like try and keep that stuff in check?
So the number one thing, and I would say this is relatively new for me because this year I've given the most honest go I ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
The first thing I think for me was setting up realistic expectations. What do I really want to do with working out? And funny enough, for me, my big goal this year was I wanted to play more basketball and I wanted to be better at it.
Right.
So that was the big driving force for me. I play pickup. I've been playing once a week for the last like 5 or 6 years. And I have always been that non-threat. And I play with mostly the same guys every week. And they know that. And I think this year I was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be the guy that once I get the ball, they're looking for me to pass somewhere. Like I want to know that I can do that in confidence. So for me, that was like, okay, cool. So that means I needed to be in cardio. I needed to lose some weight.
Yeah.
I needed to work on my mobility, and I needed to work on getting a basketball in my hands more than just once a week. So for me, like that's the thing that's like when my shin splints start acting up, when I don't want to go to the gym, that's the thing that's like, no, if I really want to do that, I got to go out there. A very, very close second is my kids and my family and my life. I'd love to be around for a long time. Right. You know, I want to be a long time around for James, that kind of thing. Yeah. It is kind of funny because I remember I had that conversation with Jen and she was like, we're not number one. I was like, listen, no. You're number one in most everything in my life. It's this one particular thing that's like, it's just a little bit more. And I don't want it to sound selfish, but I was like, but I want to be real with myself and honest with myself. Right? Like, when James is having like a late night and I wake up early and I don't want to go to the gym, am I thinking like, James is why I'm going? No, the problem is like, no, I need to get those shots up. I needed to get some cardio in and just building that consistency. Yeah. So that's number one. 2 is consistency. I think you're exactly right. I think too often where I failed was like, I'm going to go on the treadmill for like an hour at this speed and we're going to do this every single day kind of thing. Just going way too hard, way too fast. Yeah. And I think for me was understanding, okay, I'm going to try and be here for an hour to an hour and a half. In those things, this is what I want to do rep wise. Here's how I want to keep track. And this is what I want to grow in little by little. Yeah. Yeah. So as opposed to seeing like, this is what I want to do in a month, like this is where I want to be in 6 months. And since I've started doing that in January, I think I've only lost like 3 pounds or something. Not a lot, but I feel so much better. Like running wise, I feel so much better. Yeah. Like on the court, I feel better. And just like lifestyle wise, I just feel much better. Yeah. Hardest part for me has been diet.
You know, I think that's kind of the big kicker. Yeah. I go to the gym 3 times a week and I feel like I'm not in the gym, like, you know, I'm 36. So could I go in there and lift and push as much weight as possible every single time? Yes, I could. Do I? No, I don't. It's the only time that I can go to the gym is like early in the morning. So I'm there at 5 a.m. And at 5 a.m., you just don't feel like doing that much,
No.
you know? But I do enough to get my body moving and incrementally like getting better each time I go in there. So, but yeah, diet is the hardest thing. Now I meal prep, right? So Sunday nights, either Ruthie will make it for me, we both will make it, make lunches for the week, you know? And that makes it so much easier than having to think about doing that 4 or 5 different times during the week. It's just doing it all one night, freezing it or keeping it in the refrigerator all week, and then eating, you know. What I end up doing is I take them all to work and just store them in the freezer at work. And then from there, you know.
There's your lunches.
Yeah. And so they're all like, you know, macros, like thinking about the protein, the calories, you know, no carbs, things like that, right? So, but that's not the problem. When I'm at work, I'm good. I know how to eat at work. What's the problem is like it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and Ruthie and I are just hanging out on the couch, watching Netflix, watching TV, watching American Idol, whatever. It's like, I think I'd like something to eat right now, you know? Like, I think I'd like a snack. I'd like something to munch on. And I've mentioned this before we hit record. Those chocolate-covered almonds from Costco are delicious. And the problem with them,
hard to stop.
Yeah, the problem with them is you grab a handful and you start like, I'm just gonna have these 6. That's it. Just have them, and then you're like, man, all right, well maybe 6 more wouldn't hurt, you know. Next thing you know, and we've done this before. It's 10 o'clock. It's Friday night, and we're like, we don't have to go to work tomorrow. You know, I don't go to the gym on Saturday mornings. We look at each other, and I'm like, I'm hungry. And she's like, I am too. You know, it's almost like we're waiting for that person to say that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, well, what are we door dashing? You know, what McDonald's just right down the street. What should we do? Like, what do you want to? And that is the killer. You know, the late night eating for me, or the weekend, like, you know, like we eat out once a weekend. That's the plan, at least.
Yeah.
Like after church on a Sunday, Ruthie doesn't want to cook, so we'll go and we'll eat. But then you get all these like unplanned like invites, like, hey, come over, hey, let's go here, hey, let's do this. Or the late night, like, hey, let's get some Mickey D's right now, whatever. And then all of my gains during the week, that's where I suffer, is the diet.
Yeah.
Because that's where the difference is in your diet.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so hard, man. And the other hard thing is, I know how I want to eat. That's how, you know, I know the things that I should eat. But the thing is, like, I have 4 other people in my house that don't eat my diet. You know, like the kids aren't gonna, obviously, kids, we're gonna crank up the protein and we're gonna get rid of all the, no, like my kids aren't gonna eat like that. Ruthie's not gonna eat like that. Like, she's not gonna be tied to doing my, you know what I mean? So that's where it gets harder too, because when we go grocery shopping, it can't just be all, no, well, Ruthie's also got to get Pop-Tarts for the kids, or got to get cereal, or got to get bread for peanut butter and jellies. And it's like all this stuff that I'm like, oh, but that does look good. So good. You know what I mean? Like
a good PB&J will put you in place for sure.
Dude,
no doubt.
Dude. And so, or like those muffins from Costco, those, oh my gosh. I'm like, do you have to get those? And she's like, the kids want them. Yeah. And it's great and it is, it's really easy to cut them in half, and there's your breakfast with milk or whatever, like easy.
Yeah. But
then I'm like, I got to open the pantry and look at it every single day and go, oh man, but that does sound pretty good, you know? Like,
yeah.
So yeah, the diet thing is the hardest thing, is how do I, you know, how do I say no to the things that I really want to eat?
Yeah.
You know? The gym stuff, the working out stuff is like great, but the diet is the big part. One of the other reasons I go to the gym is just like mobility, continue to being active. Like, I don't play basketball every week. Like, we played for a little bit, but I don't play as consistently as you do. We have softball coming up, so that's like something else to like kind of keep me active during the week. But other than going to the gym, like, I don't really play any other rec sports. So it's my chance to kind of be active, move my body. You know, I don't want to lose mobility. I don't want things to get tight on me and feel like I can't really move them anymore. So that's like really important, is that gym time.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm in there for like an hour. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Just depends on what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. But it definitely is not as easy. Even just like 5 years ago, I was probably in the best shape of my life. We were in San Diego, and I was lean. I was getting cut. I was like in great shape. And then I remember telling Ruthie like a week ago or so, like, it's not that easy. Like, it's not as easy as it seemed it was like 5 years ago. It's a little bit harder, actually.
It is harder.
Like, noticeably.
Yeah.
Like, man, when I did this, like, if I could like cut weight like this, and now it's taking a little bit more. Although Ruthie will sometimes get mad because she says I can cut my weight pretty quick, which I could, but it doesn't take very long for it to
come back on.
Yeah. So.
No, I think for me, yeah, diet was definitely like the hardest thing. For me, it's portions.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up in a house where it's like we had big portions. When we went out to places that had big portions. And so for me, it's like I'll finish something and I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that's so tough. And then, of course, you know, like just the freelance stuff, right? Like if I'm out, you know, doing a corporate gig or that kind of thing, I'm bound to like what they have for lunch. I say I'm bound. Of course, I could always meal prep and come and bring that stuff, but it is inconvenient. Or I am here in this town. I'm going to Albuquerque in a couple weeks. I'm not going to lie. I'm really excited to have like Albuquerque and New Mexican food, like Hatch chili, like that kind of stuff. I'm really excited for that. But at the same time too, you know, like this is kind of the problem, right? Like that's kind of the thing. It's like, I'm not getting the results. Now, again, like I myself am very comfortable with my body, you know, but there are times where I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm getting more rounder than I'd like, you know, kind of thing. Like I could use for that. Like, I don't want to have the expectations of like being cut and like having like a 6-pack, but I was like, yeah, I could probably lose like some more weight. And for me it was like, it's the proportions of things. It's those odd times of like getting those like, okay, well, I'm not going to get a burrito. I'm going to get a super burrito kind of thing. Or like, oh, well, like I can get some extra fries or that kind of thing where I really should be more diligent. And I have friends, and you'll notice this too. Like I have friends that are dads that are my age that are cut. But why? Because they've been doing it for 15 years.
Right,
they've never stopped after high school.
Yeah.
So it's just become kind of a pattern. And it's really easy to be discouraged with that. But today is the day that you can start that.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, like I've been off soda for like a year, which is like crazy. If you know me, like you guys know me, like it would not be a surprise for me to go through 4 or 5 cans a day, you know, kind of thing. And just like keep going. And at a certain point I was like, it's just becoming too much. Yeah. And so it started with, okay, I'm just going to stop today and just take it day by day, day by day, and day by day. And there are days when I go to my mom's house, you know, like this last weekend where I'm seeing a whole table full of Coke and I'm like, oh man, that looks so good. But then, I
even had a Coke and I don't really drink soda like that.
So I was like, oh man, like it looks so good. But you know, and like, but the problem for me was always like, well, it's a holiday. Like, oh, it's 4th of July or it's that kind of thing. And Jenna called me out on that. She was like, you always say that. You realize that, right? Like there's always like a holiday or someone's birthday or some special occasion. And I was like, that's true. If like everything is special, then, you know, I understand like, hey, there are cheat days. And again, I'm not perfect regimen on everything. I think there needs to be a balance. I'm not trying to, again, lean, mean type of machine kind of thing. But at the same time too, like I also need to like be well aware of like, these are the trappings of my past. Like if I really want to make a change for things, I need to be honest with some of like the things that are real triggers for me. And I need to try and avoid them the best way that I can, but more so than just avoid them. Cause like what I found like with like just some of like my addiction therapy and stuff like that is like creating this 3-circle system. So you have like an inner circle, a middle circle, and then an outer circle. And so the idea is this inner circle is this, all the behaviors that you're trying to like avoid, right? That you don't want to do. And middle circle are all the things that bring you closer towards the middle circle. So there are things that like tempt you like, hey, I see that soda. Oh, it looks pretty good, kind of thing. And that's something I don't want to do, but it's like, oh, the longer I look at it, the more I kind of want it. And then you start to rationalize, okay, let's do it kind of thing. But then there's this outer circle things that are things that kind of push you away from a middle circle and pushes you to something. So it's like, you know what? Like that soda does look good. You know what? I'm going to get myself a sparkling water, instead. Okay, cool. I'm going to go bust that or that kind of thing. Or, oh, you know what? I don't really need that. I was going to go do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's basically all these things that push you away from doing that. And so I say that with confidence, security, also knowing that I am failing in my triggerings for my dieting, right? So I say this because I know it, but knowing it is only half the battle, man. Right. And sometimes it's only a quarter of it. It's actually doing it. So.
Yeah. I think, it's important to so there's a difference, right? Like we're talking about, we want to be cut, lean, be in the best shape of our lives. For most of us, that's not going to be the case. But with that being said, you can't tell me you wouldn't feel good. And I'm talking to myself, like it'd be great to lose 15 pounds. I'd feel like $1 million, not just like mentally, like, oh yeah, I've lost it, but physically, I know I'd feel it immediately. Like I'd have more energy, the mobility, the being able to have like just, I could feel that, less heavier even. I'd fit better in my clothes, things like that. So sometimes it's harder to lose that 15 than to lose 50, because that first 15, and I'm not even saying this physically, because I guess like physically it's not hard to lose the first 15.
Right.
Because it's pretty quick once you know what you're doing. But mentally it's that first 15, like doing the things that you need to do to lose that first 15 is the hardest thing. Once you get there and you lost that 15, you're like, oh, I just got to keep doing this a little bit longer. And then it's, 20, 25, wow, 30 pounds. Like, and I remember being there like, and realizing I'm on the weight on the scale and I'm like, I lost 40 pounds. Doesn't even seem real. And like, I had to weigh myself a few times, like, oh my gosh, I lost 40 pounds, and I found 30 of them back. But, at the time I was like, wow, I feel great. But you don't realize it until because that first 15 is what took mentally the work to get there. And then once you get there, it's just keep it in neutral, baby, and just keep going down the road, right? Like, and you'll get there. But I'm saying we're talking about this not because we're bodybuilders and we want you guys to look like us. Although, I mean, hey,
for some guys, you might be the goal.
But hey, some guys, it's like, I want to be like you. And those guys, I ask all the time, like, what are you taking? Like, what kind of supplements, protein, what's your diet look like? What does your day look like? What are your habits? When you wake up in the morning, what are you thinking about? You go to the gym first? Oh, you go to the gym at night? Oh, I couldn't do that. I mean, my schedule and the way my family dynamic is right now, I couldn't. But what do you do when you go, oh, you do that? Oh, okay, maybe I can try that. And, and having conversations with these guys is good. Like, I just think it's important for us as dads to think about those things because it does affect you in your relationship with your wife, your partner, or your kids. Like, it affects everything. Our health does. And as good as McDonald's or Taco Bell sounds at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, the older we get, the harder it is to shed those things off. Yeah. We don't have, it's not like when we were 20 and we can just go and eat and nothing shows, right? No, like everything's showing. Yeah. Like, dude, I'm telling you, by the times that we've had like late night fast food, what's one of the first things you wake up to saying is, I shouldn't have eaten that. I shouldn't have gotten because you could feel it in your body. Like, that doesn't sit very well after a while, And so it's important that you prioritize your health. However that may look. Maybe for you, it does look like 3 or 4 times in the gym. Maybe it looks like playing pickup ball once a week with friends. Maybe it looks like, again, family walks or going to the park, drinking more water. Like,
Stretching
even. Yeah, dude, there's this great guy on Instagram. And maybe I'll put his handle right here. All he does is like mobility, like stretching exercises. Mm-hmm. And dude, some of them you're looking at him and going, wow, that looks like it would really release a lot of tension on my body, you know? And he has some great ones for like shoulder, like everything, like full body. And I'm like, that's perfect. Like, you do that at home. No gym membership required. No weights. Just you stretching. And then it's kind of like, you know, like yoga, where you get better at these stretches over time. And then it helps your mobility, helps you get strength back in parts of your body that there is none, you know, like, so again, it can look a lot of different ways, but I think as long as you put your mind there, like if that's where your mind is going, then that's where you're going to go, you know? Yeah. If that's where you're thinking about, then that's the direction you'll go in. So, yeah, I just want to encourage dads, like find a gym partner or go play pickup ball with friends, or, you know, look up stuff on Instagram to learn how to come
with me if you guys want.
Yeah. Monday nights, Santa Rosa, if you're local.
Yeah.
So yeah, do whatever it takes to like make 2024 the year that you started that journey.
Yeah.
You know, and that way when you look back at 2024, you can say it was all because of those guys on that podcast that I'm now 40 pounds lighter in the best shape of my life. Thanks, Proud Poppy. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. That was a great conversation between me and Eli about what we struggle at, our diet, working out, and in fatherhood, it's very important to make sure that you're watching both of those things. So let me ask you, what are you better at managing, your diet or working out? Let us know right now in the comments. And if you enjoy content just like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We drop new episodes every week, and it's all about fatherhood. I hope you guys have a great week. Until next time, peace out.